can't get any words. Podcast on blast, giving you the real talk, no holding back. Can't get any worse, we'll make you see. There's always a silver lining. We'll set you free, so join the movement. Let's change the game with the Can't Get Any Worse podcast.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Can't Get Any Worse podcast. Holy shit, I just had a mind blank that I just forgot to hit record, but it's recording, so let's carry on and pretend that never fucking happened. So, happy Tuesday to you all. Recording this on a Monday, so we're back on schedule, back to our regular programming. Where do we kick off? It's cold as fuck this morning. I don't know if you guys can cast your minds back to Monday morning about how fucking cold it was, because for all I know, on Tuesday morning when you're listening to this, maybe we're going through a fucking heat wave. Who knows? That's the issue with recording in the past. You don't know what's going to happen in the future, as Confucius say. That's a pretty good quote. You guys should get that printed on a T-shirt with the Can't Get Any Worse logo, and we can start making quazillions together. But a couple of crazy things happened this week in my life. They're not really crazy. They're just fucking awkward or silly or stupid, whatever the fuck you want to call them. But let's have a sip of cold water to start with. I don't know if you guys can pick up, but I've had a half decent morning this morning. So the energy levels are high. I just put an Instagram story up that looked like I was tweaked out off my fucking brain. But sometimes you got to do that shit. You know what I mean? For whatever reason, people expect like comedians or aspiring comedians, this guy right here, to jump on their social medias and just be wacky clowns that look like they're cracked off their skull all day. So I just did a bit of a story a little bit similar to that. So anyone that did see that and go, holy fuck, James has started to hit the ice pretty hard, should we check in on him? I'm fine, guys. Just playing a funny little character online. There's actually, talking about characters, write in and tell me if you guys think this is a good idea. I spoke probably, I don't know, like a month or two ago now about a TikTok sensation that's just drowning my feed. And I don't know why, but every time it comes up saying that they're live, I have to go on and watch them. And that's the Aussie Bro Squad. And now Nikita's somewhat jumped on the bandwagon as well. She's like, holy shit, they cannot be live again. And it's just these four sad brothers just like, it looks like they're just tired and drained and just over this shit, but their mum's just behind the camera going, come on, boys, you can do it. A couple more dance moves. Let's do a couple more flips on the trampoline. Let's go and make some raps and record it and show everyone. And it's just, I don't understand how these kids don't have fucking friends, or like they don't seem to do anything else other than hang out, just the four brothers and the mum, and just record themselves on TikTok live. Anyway, I was talking to Nikita the other day about like things I can do to boost the socials, blah, 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 all the shit that I talk to you guys about weekly. And we were watching Aussie Bro Squad. I was like, oh, fuck, how funny would it be if I just made up a character and I was like the fifth Aussie bro, like that wasn't pretty enough or anything to be in the videos. And then I just like, I'm all battered and bruised and shit because the mum just hits me because I'm not good enough to like be in her life. I don't know. The way I sold it to Nikita, she found it funny. And normally Nikita hates everything that I come up with. So if she thinks it's funny, I don't know. Chances are I could be onto something. So who knows? I might have a crack at something like that coming up, just being the fifth Aussie Bro Squad brother. That wasn't good enough to make the cut. Got mad anxiety about this record thing for whatever reason today. So if the camera or the audio or something doesn't work today, my apologies. Normally when I get this feeling about something, it's normally pretty bang on. Like last week, I spoke about this giant job that I've been doing, right? One sec. This giant job I've been doing. And I woke up at 1 a.m. stressing the fuck out about a particular thing on this job, right? And I was like, nah, it's fucked. The whole job's fucked, blah, blah, blah. So in my head about it, right? I woke up, I went straight on my computer. I was like scrolling back through all the files, trying to work out what I could without actually driving to the site. And ended up working out that everything was fine. There was nothing to stress about, right? So everything's good. Why the fuck would I wake up at 1 a.m. stressing about this shit when everything's fine? And then about 10 a.m., right, I get a message from the client with a, let's call it an issue. And that issue was nowhere near as major as the one that I had woken myself up with. So things are going well. It's not a big issue at all. It's fixable. Everything in life is fixable at the end of the day. But that was like a 5-minute ramble that I had not prepared for. So let's get into what has happened in my week. Let's kick off after this episode went live last week. Well, not this episode, last week's episode, for people that'll pick me up on shit like that, like Ash and Adrian. Fucking wankers. But yeah, once last week's episode went live, I went to the coffee shop. I've been trying to go to the coffee shop a little bit more, or cafe, whatever the fuck you guys want to call it. Been trying to go there a little bit more to get this hour completed. I'm pretty close. And I know way back I said I wanted to have it done by the end of like April or something, but it's a lot harder to put together an hour show than what I predicted. Like, obviously I got stories for days that you guys have heard a lot of them. A chunk of the shit in the hour, like you guys would have never heard before, but it's like funny stories that have come from my life, blah, blah, blah. So I've tried to do a lot more writing at the local cafe, and last week I went there and I'm sitting there with my laptop, and anyone that has come and seen me do comedy, or again, we've even spoken about on here, I'm a bit of a, what they would pigeonhole me as like a dirty comedian, or a, some people even say like edgy and shit, but like, I don't see that at all, right? I just talk about dicks, cum, assholes, fucking whatever, right? Now that I say that, I guess it is kind of dirty. But so obviously when I write a joke on my laptop, basically the title on my page is more or less the premise, right? And for this particular joke that I was writing, it was about like growing up, and I was like in that generation where porn really started to like change our opinions on what like sex actually was and stuff. So when I was growing up, I was just like, oh, chicks fucking live for cum. Like all they want is just cum everywhere, right? So then I was writing this, well, I don't know if it's funny yet because I haven't tried it, but just being like a teenager and just saving up all your cum just for like the potential of hooking up with a chick, and them just being like so eternally grateful for all this. So the title at the top of this joke was like, I think it was like semen retention / party loads or something. I don't know what. That was just the premise that came to my head, and I jotted it down one day. And this was like 3 years ago when I saw the date that I put it in there. So it's taken me a while to get back to it, but it fits a little bit in this section I need to fill in this show that I'm writing. So I wrote a joke for it, and I'm stoked with how it came out. But here's the kicker, right? I'm tippy tapping away at the local cafe, and I've got my headphones on, just playing some like background sound to keep me focused. And I just hear oh, hey, James, how you going? And I've gone, oh, who could that be, politely tapping me on the shoulder? And I've looked to my side, and it's my new neighbour that we spoke about again recently. And I go, oh, hey, mate, good. How are you? Blah, blah, blah. We have like it wouldn't have been any longer than 15 to 20 second back and forth, just polite, seeing each other in public. You know what I mean? And as I'm talking to him, I can see that he's like looking at my computer screen, but I'm thinking nothing of it. I'm like, oh, fucking doesn't bother me. Like it's, to him, it's just like a document with a bunch of words written on it. But then he's walked away, and I've looked back at my screen, and I've forgot that like the app that I use to write in, it like, fair enough, the joke writing is tiny. Like you could barely see it unless you're sitting there focused on. But for whatever reason, when you put the title in this app, it's fucking like takes up half the screen, right? So this guy would have just been talking to me, and then every now and then glancing down at my screen and just seeing semen retention and thinking, what the fuck am I living next to? Who is this disgusting beast that we've bought a house beside, and now we're stuck with him? So that was awkward. I pretty much packed up my shit and came home to try and keep writing. But yeah, I don't know what it is. I just can't write at home. I can't stay focused because too much going on here. Like I could go play PlayStation. I could go walk the dog. I could come in here and fucking shoot the shit with you guys. But at a cafe, it's just like, okay, there's nothing to do unless I wanted to like people watch, but that gets boring after a while. On to the next one. Ready? So Nikita had to do a full work week last week, right? Normally that probably sounds, I don't know, out of the ordinary for you guys, but Nikita is part-time. She works 3 days a week. But last week she had to do a full week for fucking work scheduling, whatever. You guys don't need to know that part. But that meant that I had Parker on Thursday and then my mum had Parker on Friday so that I could get some other work done. But on Thursday I've taken him to the shops and we've gone to the Beenleigh Mall, which I know it's in the name. It's fucking, yeah, it's not the most ideal place to go. You know what I mean? So we've gone to the Beenleigh Mall just because we needed something at a particular shop at that shopping centre. And if there's any shopping centre in Beenleigh, for any local listeners, that's my least favourite one. Like, I'd rather go to the Beenleigh Marketplace. I'd rather drive the extra 10 minutes to the Logan Hyperdome. But I found myself at the Beenleigh Mall. And we've got out of the car, and literally within 15 to 20 steps walking towards the mall, we've passed a car, and there's two young guys. They might have been maybe just 18, if I had to throw a number. And they're leaning on the bonnet of their car at the Beenleigh Mall, just fucking smoking durries. And I'm like, Beenleigh, this is Beenleigh. But I've got Parker in my arm, carrying him, even though he should be fucking walking because he's a giant kid now. But anyway, I'm carrying him. And he sees these two kids smoking, and he goes, oh, Dad, why are those guys smoking? And these guys, like, they're within earshot now. They can hear. And I've gone, oh, they just must want to smoke. Like, they're allowed to smoke if they want to. And he's like, yeah, but do they know they're going to die? And I've just gone, oh, my fucking God. And, like, these kids clearly heard. And I'm just like, power walk. Keep walking. And then I'm like, that's the awkward situation out of the way, right? I just need to go into the shop now, get what I need, and get the fuck out of here. But we make another maybe 20 steps, and we pass a stereotypical Logan mother, let's put it that way. And she's got her mulleted up son with, like, I think he had a mullet with then like a rat's tail offset to the side, because you got to rock both. And both these people did not have shoes on. And hey, if you don't want to wear shoes to the shop, you do you. That's fucking completely fine. I have sensory issues because I have undiagnosed fucking neurological disorders that we'll never, ever, ever dig into because we just can't face the truth. And realistically, when you're 32, what the fuck are they going to do? They're going to be like, oh, James, I'm so sorry to tell you, but you have ADHD and autism. So we're going to have to... It'd be like, what's that fucking... Oh, Freddie Got Fingered. When he finds out that when everyone thinks that he got molested and he gets sent back to like the orphanage and he's just surrounded by all these young kids. That's how I feel like I'd be if I got diagnosed with ADHD. I'd have to Billy Madison that shit and just go back and redo school now that I have my diagnosis. And that would just answer so many issues of James gets distracted easily. James can't focus. James is a menace to society. Sign him up to a cabinet making apprenticeship and get him the fuck out of this school. Anyway, where was I on the actual story before I went on that rant? But let's pretend I just spoke about the mullet or whatever. We've walked past this mother and son, and Parker's decided to pipe up again, and he goes, oh, yuck, Dad. Those people have got no shoes on. And again, we're from me to the camera away, and I've just gone, what the fuck, dude? Like, you have autism. You have no social recognition or social cues of anything going on around you. So yeah, that I just diagnosed my son like all these TikTok stars that are self-diagnosing on TikTok, going, oh, I've watched 33 TikToks now that say that if I struggle in social settings and I forget when I go out in public if I've left my oven on, then I have autism. So yeah, that's it's a big thing sweeping the world at the moment. I think we even spoke about that recently, so we won't dig into it anymore. But Yeah, we went to Monster Trucks yesterday, right? And again, we'll touch on this, but my oldest son, Westy, we've spoken about it before, has been diagnosed with like autism and shit, blah, blah, blah. But anyone that isn't like in his life, like daily and stuff, like I suppose anyone other than maybe like me, Nikita, and my parents probably don't see this side of Westy. So everyone's just like, oh, Westy doesn't have autism. James and Nikita are just one of these people, like, they're trying to get on the bandwagon. They're trying to get NDIS funding, which is fucking annoying and lame for anyone that is in that system. Luckily, Nikita deals with all that. But basically, he just has these, like, random moments. Like, we went to Monster Trucks yesterday, and we were in, I said to Nikita, I go, oh, what door are we looking for? And she's like, oh, door 3 or something. And Westy goes, oh, when we came here for, what did he say? Some other event that we went there for like a year ago. He's just like, oh, last time we were here, we're in door 6. And then we sat at seat 138 to 133. And Nikita's like, holy fuck, how does he remember that? Because like, obviously when he says it out loud, it's like, holy shit, that's where we were sitting. But he just has like crazy memory about shit like that, which is, it's pretty insane. It's pretty cool. There's a dude in the scene, BJ Connolly, and he blows me away every time I see him perform because he's autistic as well. And he has this ability to remember everybody's birthdays. Like the first time he ever met me, he goes, like that's how he meets people. He just goes, hey, I'm BJ, what's your birthday? And I'm like 10th of March. Instantly, he goes, you have the same birthday as Osama bin Laden and who else did he say? Someone else. And that's now how he like remembers me. Like when he sees me at a gig, he must go, Osama bin Laden, whoever the other celebrity was. Oh, it's James. Hey, how you going? Comes and gives me a hug, blah, blah, blah. But then during his performance, he always does this with the crowd. He goes around and asks maybe like 3 or 4 people in the crowd, oh, when's your birthday? And then taps in. He's like, oh, that was a Tuesday. It was like sunny. Fucking Celine Dion was born on your birthday. And it just blows the crowd's mind that this guy can somehow do this. But it's insane how that shit happens. I don't even remember where I was at with that. But let's go back to Monster Trucks. We went and watched Monster Trucks yesterday. Hot Wheels, I forget what it was. It was like Hot Wheels Glow Party Live or something. And we were all keen as fuck for this. So my dad and I took Westy to Monster Trucks probably 3 years ago now. And that was insane. Westy fucking loved it. They were loud, they were obnoxious, and just the smell of fuel and shit that you could smell in the Brisbane Entertainment Centre, just like clouds of smoke, right? And it was insane. It was like a real boy experience. So I was expecting the same yesterday. And Nikita and Parker have never been to Monster Trucks before, right? And we sort of knew before we got there, Parker hates loud noises. He hates fucking... Like, he likes the idea of monster trucks, but watching them live isn't really his thing. But we'll see how we go. He ended up... Nikita had to take him out probably 15 minutes into the show. But these monster trucks were nowhere near the last monster trucks that we went and saw, like, 3 years ago or whatever. These were like... Imagine if you went to a hot rod show... And when you got there, the car park was just full of Teslas. Like these seemed like toned down. Like you couldn't smell any fuel. You couldn't smell. There was no smell in the whole arena, which was weird to have these giant revving fucking machines flying around. The jumps were nowhere near as insane as the last time. Anyway, this dude jumps out of his monster truck and he's like, I've been in Australia doing monster trucks for 32 years and we just weren't doing it right here. So Hot Wheels has hired me. And the last 3 years, I've built all these machines and now we're killing it. And I was like, you need to go back to what you were doing last time we saw you. Because, and like, it wasn't a terrible show. Like, I understand it's probably more for kids than me. But, yeah, it just... And again, if I hadn't have seen that other show, I would have been like, this is fucking cool. But just like the height and shit they were getting, it was like they were barely jumping off the... Like back wheels weren't even really getting off the ground. So And then just before intermission, they did this random as fuck thing where this car came out and then it transformed into this weird bird thing. And we had to watch this car slowly drive around, breathing fire every 20 seconds. And it had to find this mystical orb that one of the monster trucks had stolen. It was so unnecessary and boring. Like, that killed the show for me, that part. But yeah, they had a couple of motorbike riders as well. That sucked me back in there. And they were obviously doing insane tricks. I wish that part went for longer. But anyway, that was my monster truck experience. I came home. I was watching, and that's the other thing. Turns out there were a fair few people there that I knew on, social media or whatever. And they're posting going, oh, Monster Trucks is fucking sick. This is insane, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, maybe if I didn't have that last image of the Monster Trucks, then I would have been way more on board as well. So if you are going to see Monster Truck Hot Wheels in wherever they are next, I think they said Sydney, maybe don't take my opinion for it. Go in it with an open mind and get ready to, watch some electric monster trucks fucking disappoint you. I don't know. I don't know where to go from that. But anyway, Westy, let's stick on the topic of kids and then we'll get into the Nikita stories of the week. Westy has started doing this I don't know where he got it right, but it's annoying, but Nikita and I can't stop laughing at it. Like a lot of the shit that kids do when you're a parent. But Westy started this weird thing where he'll try and put this cool look on his face. Like he'll squint almost like a, what's that? Like the Zoolander, where he does that model pose. So he'll do that and then he'll get his fingers like this, these bottom three, they're not quite shut, but they're attempting it. And then he'll point his pointer finger and thumb up like a wiggle pose. And then he'll just start at the top of his forehead and just slide it down until it gets to his chin and just like this. If you're fucking watching, something like this. And I don't know fucking how he does it, but he's and then he'll say stupid shit to go with it. And it annoys me every time. I was sitting on the couch. He's like, hey dad, do you like tomatoes? And I'm like, no, I fucking hate tomatoes. And he goes, oh, why do you get tomatoes on your Subway then? And then he does this. He does his little sign. And I go, and that's his full stop to the conversation. He's won this argument somehow in his head. And I've gone, I don't get tomatoes. And he just goes, okay then. And I'm like, you didn't fucking win this argument. That doesn't make any sense. And it makes me so fucking angry. And then I'll randomly be in the kitchen. He'll come in. This is another thing that he did the other day. He comes in and he goes, hey dad, do you still kiss your mum on the lips? And I'm like, no. And he goes, yeah, you do. And did his fucking stupid little sign. And I've gone, no, I don't. And he's like, okay then. And I'm like, what is this shit? It fucking irritates the fuck out of me. But, and yesterday, back to the monster trucks, they had, when you go to events like that, they have the dance cam or whatever, and they pan around the audience and kids do their crazy dances and shit. Westy's like, if the camera comes to me, I'm just going to stand there and do my little fucking finger pointing sign thing into the camera. And I'm like, dude, that'd be the coolest thing you could possibly ever do. You're going to get famous. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know where that kid's brain is at the moment, but let's get on to some Nikita stories, eh? Everyone loves a good old fashioned Nikita story. Let's start with this one. This both of them are funny in my head. Whether or not you guys find them funny, that's another story. So the boys stayed at mum's house on Saturday night and I had a gig that night and I decided, Nikita and I put a movie on in the afternoon. We were watching it. It was boring as fuck. It was that new Zac Efron one with Nicole Kidman. The whole movie was just made just for those two to have a sex scene together. Other than that, boring as shit. So because of that, I fell asleep about, 40 minutes into the movie, right? So I'm asleep on the couch in my own world. And my dog does this annoying thing that if I'm asleep on the couch or even in bed sometimes, she'll come up to me and do that annoying thing that dogs do sometimes where they'll come up to your ear and be and just fucking sniff in your ear and then give it a little lick, like inside your ear. And I was like, that's fucking annoying. So I'm fast asleep, right? And then I just feel breathing in my ear, and then I hear like a compression of like a voice in my ear that I thought was the dog. So as soon as I've felt this, I've fucking, I've like gone to slap the dog away like this. And as I've slapped, I feel what can only be described as a human face on the back side of my hand. And I hear Nikita go, oh, what the fuck? And yeah, she proceeds to start not crying, but watering eyes and clenching her face. And I've gone, what the fuck are you doing sneaking up on me while I'm asleep? And she's going, I came to whisper in your ear, do you want Subway for dinner? And I'm like, what the fuck? Why not just tap me on the shoulder and be like, hey, do you want Subway? Or just like, give me a little shake to wake me up. Don't come up and whisper in my ear like a fucking, like a dog that's trying to wake me up with its puffy breath. But yeah, that's the story about the time that I domestically abused my wife by accident. So if the police get this, it was an accident, and she has been directed to tell you guys the same story. So don't come after me. But this is the last little family story that I'll tell you for the week. Nikita's started to get into her exercise again, right? She's been going on walks and like runs, whatever you want to call it. She's been dabbling in a little bit of YouTube workouts, all that sort of shit, right? But when she goes on these walks and runs, obviously as a lot of women are these days, we spoke about that Schultz joke last week of like woman gets raped during jogging or whatever. Obviously as a woman in society these days, it's something that you probably need to be made aware of and alert. So she's tried to work out ways that she could defend herself or whatever while she's on these runs. And we've got these, you know, the really small screwdrivers you get, like to fix glasses and all that sort of shit. So she was at the point, she's like, oh, I'll put one of these in my pocket in case someone jumps me from behind. And I'm like, A, they'll be stronger than you. They'll overpower you. B, your heart is too big to stab someone, even if they're trying to like abduct and do whatever to you. And like, you just don't need to deal with stabbing someone. Like, it's just not in your wheelhouse. So she's decided to buy herself I don't know what else to describe it as other than a rape whistle. And it's not like one of those, it's not what I pictured a rape whistle to be. So where you carry a referee whistle in your pocket and you're blowing that shit, and fucking as you're blowing it, the perpetrator runs away, right? She's gone and bought herself one of these rechargeable rape whistles off Temu or something, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of, to buy a rechargeable rape whistle, because it got made, prime example, as soon as she got home with it, got delivered while she was at work. She's come home. She's gone, everyone check out what came to work today. And she started this acting exercise. She's come out from the kitchen. Me and the boys are in the lounge room sitting on the couch. She comes out with this little pink fucking button thing, and she pretends she's running, and she's like, oh no, a rapist. and she's hit the button, and the thing isn't doing anything. She sets it up. She's like, you wait until you hear how fucking loud this thing is, right? She hits the button. Nothing happens. And the boys and I are looking at her like, what the fuck are you doing? And she's hitting this thing like aggressively, going, what the fuck is going on? And she goes, oh, hang on, I have to go back to the kitchen and put it on charger because it's gone flat. And I've gone, okay, I'll hold off on raping you until you've got your rape whistle charged. Yeah, I thought it was funny, whether or not you guys did. But I thought that was a pretty stupid purchase. But I don't know. I don't know how I should tie up all those stories other than maybe hit you with a bit of the goddamn Rizzly bear, like the Western. That's all Nikita and I can put it down to, is like, that's another thing that's big on TikTok and Instagram at the moment, like rizzing. That's what these young people are calling like flirting and stuff these days. And all over Fortnite and stuff, like Westy will come home from from school and be like, oh, I'm a Rizzly bear, or fucking, what's the other one he says? The Rizzler, or it says all this dumb shit, and I'm like, oh, so fucking annoying. It gets under my skin for whatever reason. Fucking headphones are tight this week. Yeah, I've just adjusted it. All right, let's get into the week of comedy, hey? The part of the show that you guys live for, just to hear, has James had a good week? Has James had a bad week? We don't care. Either option could potentially be good. We'll see how we go. Let's start on Wednesday. I was at the Cellar up at West End, and I was stressing the fuck out because traffic was horrendous. I was 5 kilometers away from the venue, and my maps was saying it was going to take me an hour 35 to get there just because of a crash on the M1. So I'm messaging the venue, blah, 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 and I was up second. I'm like, fuck, I don't know if you guys can move me or something. I don't know if I'm going to make it. They're like, we'll just play it by ear. We'll see how you go. I pull into the car park. I ended up getting an okay run. It took me like 40 minutes after I sent that message. And the show started late because of the traffic anyway. So I've parked. And obviously back then, like my knee was still pretty fucked. Like hardly walk sort of thing, limping around. And to get down to the Cellar, it's in the name. There's a fucking staircase of probably 30 steps. So I've like power limped all the way from my car, got to the staircase, and just at the bottom of the staircase is like the green room for the comedians. So I've like started to limp, and I can just see every step lower I got was just like 10 comedians staring at the staircase of like, who the fuck is this weird person limping down the staircase like this? But got to the bottom, and there was probably a minute before the MC goes, all right, welcome to the stage, Jimmy Misson, blah, blah, blah. Got out there, and just before that, in that like brief moment, the other comedians were like, oh, they sound like a smiling, giggly crowd more than a laughing crowd. And I hate that shit. I need to hear laughs, or I'm in my head going, you fucking suck at life. But I got out there, and yeah, I got some laughs out of them. I had a good enough set to make the drive home bearable. So wasn't a crush. It was just a slow and steady in the middle. So yeah, nothing too much to write home about. But then Thursday, back down at a Prey Surf for the last time in a little while, down at Burleigh. Again, I don't know how that room's not bigger than it is. Like the crowds are almost always up for it. And again, on Thursday night, they were keen as shit. And I was excited to get up and do my set just because I could see how into it the crowd was, blah, blah, blah. Took my tripod down to record it, hopefully get some clips out of it. And as I'm setting up my tripod, I'm hitting record on my phone, and it's just fucking out. Like it's just freezing, turning off, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, fuck. And then the person before I got on, it started to work again. So I was like, oh, sweet. And the MC for the night is relatively new to the scene, right? But she was having a crack at MCing. She's MC'd down there a handful of times. And obviously when you're new to MCing, you're probably not the best with handling hecklers and things like that. But there was a table of maybe 10 people there that were there to watch a girl perform stand-up for like, I think it was either the first time ever or the first time in like 10 years or something. It was one of those stories. And a couple of the ladies on this table were drunk and thought that this whole night was just put on purely for the girl that they'd come and watch. So they're yelling out, talking during other people's sets, like not being the greatest crowd members, right? And the girl whose first time or whatever it was gets up before me, and obviously the room's silent for her, giving her all the courtesy, blah, blah, blah. And this girl finishes, she has a pretty okay set. But she finishes on this story, which I didn't know how the fuck I was going to follow this. So basically, she tells this story about she catfishes this dude or something, and then he catfishes her in return. They just have this weird online relationship, and then it turns out they didn't even tell each other their real names. They just had their Tinder names. And it was just this big fucking love story, right? And then she finishes her set by going, and to cap it all off, I just want to say that tonight is going to be the first night that not only am I doing stand-up comedy, but I am meeting potentially the love of my life, and he is sitting right over there. And there was this, like, mysterious dude sitting in the corner all night, right? And I was just like, oh, he must just want to come and watch comedy by himself. Anyway, she puts the microphone back in the mic stand, walks over, and they just start, like, hugging and kissing like we're in the middle of a fucking romance novel. And I'm like, how am I going to follow this with my fucking cum and dick jokes? But so I'm getting ready. I'm trying to think of things in my head, right, to try and address that and get the crowd back on my side after I'm following a romance novel. And I don't know if it's lucky enough for me or whatever, but the MC gets on and she's obviously trying to address what happened as well. And then she gets into a little bit of her gear, and one of the drunk ladies just starts heckling her bad again. And the MC somewhat handles her a little bit, but then she stopped and she goes, look, I'm new at MCing. I don't 100% know how to deal with you. Like, she more or less said you're ruining the show. And she was like, I wish I was 5 years in or something so I could just roast you and put you in your place. She's like, I'm just trying to tell this joke so I can bring the next act on. So hats off to her for just addressing it and, like, fucking going down that route. Anyway, I was like, oh, okay. And as this chick was speaking, I was like, there's a couple of things I could potentially say to her to roast her that I'd been thinking of, right? And I get up, I'm going through my set. It's going okay. And then I get to probably the middle of my set, right? So, mind you, in the back of my head, my phone's recording. So I'm like, if anything pops off, this is going to be my clip. This is going to be my moment. It's all going to fucking happen. And I get to my evolution joke. I go, is anyone here into the conspiracy theories? And this chick, so a few people yell out, but this drunk lady screams at the top of her lungs. She goes, yeah, I am 100%. And I go, okay, since you're the most keen, what are you into? And she goes, I fucking hate anyone that's into conspiracy theories. They're all fake. And I'm like, well, that's the opposite of what I asked for. And then obviously the crowd laughs at that. And then she keeps talking. She's like, she said something else stupid. I go, anyway, let's fucking get back onto the comedy show. So if no one else has got anything to throw out, I'm not entirely sold on the whole concept of evolution. And then she fucking pipes back up and she goes, oh, I hate flat worlders. And I'm like, oh, we're going back to this lady now. I go, what did you say, sorry? And she's like, I hate flat worlders. And I'm like, flat worlders? What's that? And she's like, people that think the world's flat. And I'm like, oh, I think they're called flat earthers. And she's like, nah, oh, actually, yeah, you might be right. And I go, if there's anyone in the world that might be a flat worlder, I think it might be you stupid bitch, or something like that. Crowd obviously fucking loses it that this chick's been put in her place finally. And I've cruised through the rest of my set on a high going, fuck yeah, I'm going to clip that shit up, put it on social media. I'm going to be in Austin opening at the mothership in no time. And I get back to my phone. Phone's fucking turned itself off again. I'm like, you dirty piece of shit. But anyway, it was fun just to experience that. Obviously saying it at this moment didn't hit as well as it did in the room. Comedy's one of those things where you sort of got to be there. But yeah, that was pretty sick. And then I had to finish the week off. I had two call up gigs, I suppose you'd call them, that I wasn't expecting to do, Friday night and Saturday night. So Friday I was down at Matic Brewery. And again, I've said it before, that gig's almost always a sick gig as well. Got down there and the crowd was relatively small, but they seemed there for comedy. And I don't know what it was. I'll bank these next two gigs in the same conversation because it was the exact same experience at both gigs. So I got to the gig, I'm chatting to the other comedians before, we're all having a laugh, we're all having fun. And I got up and I don't know why, I don't know if I was just in my head or whatever, but I felt while I was on stage that I was eating the biggest bag of dicks ever. I was just so in my head, I wasn't in the moment, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, I'd text Nikita, I'd be like, oh, I just bombed my dick off, this sucks. And then literally only this morning, I watched back both sets on my phone. And they were like half decent sets. So I don't know if I'm at that point where I'm just so over my current jokes or whatever, and I'm writing these new jokes and I'm so keen to try them, but some of them only work in that hour because you've got callbacks and fucking setups earlier in the show, blah, blah, blah. But eventually I've got to start trying them and stuff. And I think that's probably where I'm at. I'm just so over these old jokes and I want to try this new shit. And yeah, I don't know. Nikita said something the other day. She goes, oh, you need to be more like Kevin Hart or Tom Segura and something, and just go up to stage and just be like, just telling a story. And like, that's the funny part. They just get up and they just tell a story, and that's why everyone laughs. And I go, hold on a minute. Do you think that like Kevin Hart just hires Madison Square Garden one night and just jumps up there with a couple of notes in his pockets of funny things that have happened in his life this week, and he just gets up there and off the cuff rambles a fucking Netflix special? And she's like, oh no, I understand a bit more work goes into it than that, but like it just sounds more natural and things like that. And I go, yeah, because these cunts have been doing it for fucking 20, 30 years. I'm in my third year, so that shit's going to come. So calm down there, buttercup. But yeah, obviously this shit that I'm writing at the moment, it does feel more natural, like storytelling, because these jokes that I've sort of set myself up on at the moment, obviously they are all stories or whatever from my life, but I've over-exaggerated them quite extensively to get the laugh, whereas the stuff I'm writing now is more close to the story, just with these like little punched up like tags and shit here and there. So I don't know, this new shit I'm writing might not even fucking work, and it could be a complete waste of my life, but who knows? Who fucking knows? But I'm yeah, we'll move on to what I've watched this week. I watched that shitty Nicole Kidman and Zac Efron movie. Not even going to talk about it because it was absolute dog shit. I rewatched Bad Neighbours and Bad Neighbours 2. They still hold up. They're funny as shit. But I didn't remember a lot of I didn't really remember them. Like, I remembered the movie, but there was so much shit that I didn't remember. So if you haven't seen them for a few years, go back and watch them. Hilarious. It was back in the era where you could still make a good comedy movie, be a little bit edgy. Obviously not as edgy as like Superbad and all that shit that my generation sort of came up on. But yeah, good for a laugh. Song for this week. Holy fuck. This one is an absolute fucking sick song. My phone is going off crazy here. Holy shit. So yeah, Machine Gun Kelly and Jelly Roll, two of my favorite artists, released a song together called Lonely Road, and it's a bit of a take on the old hit Country Roads that they've sort of rewritten and blah blah blah. And this thing is so fucking sick. And then they released the video film clip, whatever, for it, and it just adds a whole nother level. Like, there's so much mystery and stuff behind it. Megan Fox is pregnant in the video, and it's like, oh, is she actually pregnant, or is it representing the miscarriage that they had together? Then Jelly Roll and his wife, they're reading a letter that says they're infertile, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I don't know. It just added an extra layer on it for me. So go listen to that song. You won't be fucking disappointed. UFC this week. UFC 304, I think it was. It was over in Manchester. I think it was in Manchester. So I'll just talk about three of the big fights, the three final fights on the night. It was a pretty, I don't know, it wasn't the best card in the world, but Paddy Pimblett, he drowned out a few haters and got a first round submission, which I don't know if anyone saw that coming. I didn't see that coming. I thought it was going to grind out to a decision. So I'm glad he jumped on there and, yeah, shut up some haters for a little while. So who knows where he's on to next. I think he's probably, I don't know, he'd have to get towards that sort of top 10, top 5, and then potentially title shot. I mean, the dude's as big as you can get in like Europe and shit, and he's obviously pretty big in America and Australia and all that as well. So I reckon he's getting up there to get his title shot sooner rather than later. The co-main, Tom Aspinall, he got a knockout, and now he's the interim heavyweight champion. Obviously, there was no one else to call out other than John Jones. So I don't know. I'm of the era where you can never see John Jones losing to anyone. But Tom Aspinall is a pretty fucking decent heavyweight. Like, he's not one of these fat heavyweights that just go in for the knockout. He's like an actually skilled, relatively good like body type heavyweight. So if anyone was going to challenge John Jones, it's probably this guy. And eventually, like, he's the interim champion now. John Jones is still the champion, out with an injury. At some point, those titles have to fucking reconvene or whatever. I don't fucking know. But that fight has to happen eventually. Whether it's those two, whether it's like John Jones either has to relinquish his title or come back and face Tom Aspinall. So I don't know. I'm keen to see what eventuates there. And then the main event, I don't know why. All week I was like, Leon Edwards is losing his title. And the morning of, I was like, yep, I'm going to put some money on Bilal Muhammad. And Bilal Muhammad it's crazy he has not got a title shot up until now, right? The dude's an absolute killer. Is he undefeated? Or he's only got like 1 or 2 losses? I don't know. But for what he's a boring fighter. That I was about to say for whatever reason, but his fights are always boring. He's a wrestler, a grappler. He'll just grind it out the entire time, just getting you in awkward positions, just making you struggle for the entire fight. And obviously he's done that to win the title now. He's ground out a unanimous decision over Leon Edwards. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see what comes of it. I don't think he's going to be the most exciting champion we've ever seen in that weight division. Dana White came out and said there won't be a rematch just because of how, he didn't say it, but he alluded to how boring the fight was. He doesn't want to see it again. So, yeah, we'll see what happens there. Oh, I just reached over for my laptop there. It's not there anymore. It's over on this side. We'll get to, we've got Premature of the premise of the week. First, one sec. Let me scroll down here and see where we're at in the world. Oh, yeah, I don't really have a premise this week, but I did think of this at Monster Trucks yesterday, right? Does anyone else think, and I haven't written, this is literally just a thought I had yesterday, wrote it down. I've always been like a cubicle pisser, right? When I go to the toilet, I'll always go to a cubicle and just piss in there. Something about urinals is fucking weird to me. And yesterday at Monster Trucks, obviously it was jam-packed, so I had to use the urinal. And it was just such a gay experience for me. Like, whoever invented urinals is 100% gay, just to go, I reckon we should put a metal trough that 10 guys can just go shoulder to shoulder with. And if you want to look down and look at other dicks, entirely up to you. But it's been made like public awareness that we just need to heads up, look at the wall. If you want to look to your mate beside you, it's like it's above shoulder looking. But anything other than that, I don't know. It's a pretty gay experience to go and stand at a metal trough with a bunch of dicks and just piss into the same puddle of water at the bottom. But again, nothing might ever eventuate to that. But I thought maybe it might be like a tag or something for a joke that I write one day. But onto the motivational clip for the week. Let's bring it up over on this screen. Let's hope that I've got the where's my fucking mouse? Let's hope I've got the audio fixed this week, hey? I think I tested it before, but who fucking knows? So this has popped up the last couple of weeks for me. I was like, fuck it. Let's just play it on here, right? Oh, dickhead. He doesn't have the fucking sound hooked up. What is going on here? One sec. How did that work before the show? How? Bluetooth? What the fuck? It says it's connected to the Rodecaster. Have I got something off here? Nah, that's all on. What is going on here? Let's try and press play one more time, eh? Sorry about this, ladies and gentlemen. Let's,
all of you out there, please keep your dreams alive. Dreams are something you have to believe in. I almost gave up on mine. They say stories like this only happen in the movies. I cannot believe it's happening to me. Mom, I just want an Oscar.
But that was pretty cool. Like, to put that in perspective, that dude was like a child actor, and then I think he was in the Goonies or something, and then just kept fighting for years to get in something else. No one would put him in anything, and then he got his big break again, and he won an Oscar off the back of it. So So many moments like Friday and Saturday night where I was just like, I'm fucking dog shit. I'm giving up. I've had enough. I'm fucking no followers on socials. Fucking no one's laughing at me at comedy shows. I've had enough. But I don't know. Then you wake up the next day and you're like, I just got to fucking keep going. I'm too deep now to pull out. So, just keep pushing forward. Keep following those dreams. If anyone's listening to this and you've got a dream, just keep fucking going. We're all going to make it, as Ziz used to say before he died in a sauna in Thailand. So if that's not motivation, I don't know what is. Shows for the week. So I've only got the one. It's going to be a bit of a funny week. So I'm going to watch James McCann at Sit Down Comedy Club on Wednesday the 31st. So he's an Australian comedian, went to America, and he's blowing up a little bit on the back of being in with like Shane Gillis and Matt McCusker and things like that. And part of me wanted to chase him pretty hard to get him on the podcast. But then I stepped back and I was like, obviously I've made it pretty aware that Shane Gillis is one of my favourite comedians at the moment. And with James McCann being as close to Shane Gillis as he is, the last thing I want to do is fuck up an entire podcast with this dude, him go back to America and go, holy shit, I just had the most awkward podcast with this fucking autistic dude in Logan. You should never, ever make eye contact with him. He's a fucking weirdo. But anyway, I'm going to watch him at Sit Down, and I'm hoping the show finishes. Then I'm shooting over to Doobop Bar for Sit Down Comedy and doing a set there. So that's all on the same night. That's all I've got this week. We've got the Distillery Road gig coming up on the 18th of August, I think it was. Why the fuck didn't I write that down up there? 18th of August. Tickets are... I think they're at that point of exhaustion again. So I just want to stress again, even though it says that, rock up. It's a free event. We've got enough seating for 1 million people there. There is no chance you're going to rock up and they're going to say, go away. We will pull out more seats. There's a mezzanine up the top we can open that'll fit another fucking mountain of people. So if you go to buy a ticket and it says that, message me, message the venue. Just say, look, I want to come. We will put you on the list. We'll do whatever we need to do. There's room for you all. We're all going to go there. We're all going to have a big laugh. Lineup, I'm still trying to tweak with a few things. Still trying to add a couple of acts. So I'm not going to announce it just yet, but some pretty big names on there. I'm pretty fucking stoked. So other than that, send through your submissions via DM on Instagram, Can't Get Any Worse Podcast. Or email me at cantgetanyworsepod@gmail.com. And hope you all have a good week. Share the podcast around. Blow this motherfucker up. And I will see you later.